Liberty fans, I think, can sense it right now. To go, inbound to Weatherspoon with one. Weatherspoon puts up the three. It's no good!
The Liberty Flames are still dancing.
Fan the Flame to the biggest victory in school history.
Georgia to inbound, gets it to AC. Deep three, pull up. He baked it in! He baked it in!
Shot at the buzzer. Good! It's good! It's good! It's one point!
Larry Blair reverse layup up and in, and he's fouled.
Man, you talk about degree of difficulty.
With two, Georgie at the buzzer. Got it! He got it!
Darius McGee, a game for the ages.
And Liberty wins 4 games in the Big South tournament to take home the 2013 crown.
Look at Bio Baxter now.
25 for Colin Porter.
Holmes lead. Splash!
Shiloh Robinson with an effort play.
And Liberty keeps on coming.
A huge basket by Kyle Rode.
Got it! Pacheco with the 3.
Liberty, put your dancing shoes on.
Well, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the A Sea of Red podcast presented by Jason Porter Real Estate, covering all of your residential and commercial real estate needs in the Lynchburg area and beyond. Nick Kirby here, joined by Dr. Will Matthews as always. Doctor, how we doing?
Good, man. How are y'all?
I'm doing well. A Sea of Red founder, Jon Manson, how we doing?
Doing good. Ready for a big show tonight.
Yeah, big show as mentioned. Ben Southerland joining the show. Ben's kind of got an increased role of late for our Liberty basketball team. So excited to chat with Ben here in a minute. And then associate head coach Derek Johnston. Looking really forward to talking to both those guys about Liberty basketball, and starting a little bit later than normal because our Reverend had some pastoral duties this evening. So, Reverend, since we're starting a little later than normal, what do you have to do to get through a show like this?
Man, let me tell you, Nick, I just got me a new shipment of Ironclad coffee in since the last time that we talked. Got the steam engine blend this time, and it's very good. Notes of chocolate, notes of baking spices. Deep, robust flavor, helps me get through everything.
John, did you expect him to tell us what notes were in the coffee? I did not see that coming.
I didn't see it coming. You never know what you're going to get on a Sea of Red after dark.
Hey,
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Ironclad is great coffee, and we're not out here like shilling mortgages or anything like that. So we talk about the good folks that sponsor a Sea of Red, sponsor Liberty Athletics, and keep us caffeinated as well.
Beautiful. Well, as mentioned, you can go to ironcladcoffee.com. The orders online. Great folks who support all things Liberty Athletics and a Sea of Red. So be sure to check them out. Also, they got a location in Richmond if you can go in person if you're in that area. But online is where most people that are watching will want to go. Make sure you get your coffees. You can be cool like Will. All right. Let's talk about some Liberty hoops, because we got a big show. We want to kind of run through a lot here today. Let's go through the games that we've missed since we talked last, okay? So first off, we had Liberty falling 80-76 to Louisiana Tech. This was a game on ESPN2. Game Liberty led 37-30 at halftime. Just couldn't do enough. Louisiana Tech looks really, really good right now. Zach Cleveland had a monster game. Kyle Rode got back to Kyle Rode thing, shot the ball well in this one, but Liberty falls in overtime. Will, just kind of looking back at this game, what was your quick thoughts on it?
Well, I guess quick thought was Louisiana Tech is really good. I don't know that Liberty has the personnel to do anything with Daniel Bacho. So I think if you would have told me, hey, this game is going to be really close and go into overtime, part of me probably would have taken that as a positive thing.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I mean it was a really good game. I mean, and these are two teams that we thought coming out of the non-conference play into conference play were the top two teams in the league in Conference USA, and that could be the case here in Huntsville in about 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or whatever that is for the conference tournament. And I was actually just watching Louisiana Tech tonight. I think they just closed out against UTEP, won by about 16, and the same problems Liberty had with Bacho is the same problem UTEP had with Bacho tonight, and most of the league will have with him. He's a very skilled big man. I mean, he played for Texas Tech, and he was a contributor for them, even on that team that made it to the national runner-up, I believe. But yeah, I mean, it was a good game. We led most of the way. We shot well. That last, our offense really, it seemed like the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, it really just, we went cold. We were forcing things. We went into more ISO than the way we typically play, which was not something we wanted to see. But it was unfortunate that last play of regulation, Zach Cleveland got the ISO and didn't really get off a clean look. When the game was tied, we had a chance to win it and go into overtime. But I think looking back on it, when we get to March or so, this is not a game that we're going to look at and be scratching our head. That may be the Jacksonville State game that we do that to. But Louisiana Tech's a really good team. They're going to win a lot of games. They're probably the front runner right now to win the regular season title in Conference USA.
Yeah, I think there's no question they're the front runner right now. It doesn't mean anything because it's going to come down to one game, probably maybe between both of these teams or between Louisiana Tech and someone else, and we'll see how that plays out. My only kind of takeaway is one thing that really kind of blew me away when I looked at this is, so the first three teams that Liberty played, of course, Liberty starts 0-3 in Conference USA play. They're all top 100 in KenPom in adjusted defensive efficiency. Do you know how many teams in the ASUN were top 100 last year? Zero. And there's only one team right now in CUSA that is not a decent team. That's not even in. Everyone is in the top 150 except for the FIU Panthers. They are at 242. So they were the one team that Liberty wanted to see to get right, and this was a get right game. I didn't think it was a great performance by any means, but this was you needed a win. You got to win. FIU is a scrappy team, and FIU is like, it's like, man, if this is the worst team in this league, maybe Middle Tennessee also could be in that, but if this is the worst or second worst team in this league, my gosh, this is a lot different than the ASUN. The ASUN, there was like 5 teams that were in the 300s last year, and this team was 242, and they're the dead last by a mile in this conference. Will, any takeaways from this one?
Well, I don't think Middle Tennessee will stay at the bottom. I think they're too good to stay at the bottom. But, last time we talked, I said I was troubled but not terrified at the way we were playing and, just kind of a bumpy road. I think if we would have lost this one, I might would have pushed over into the terrified part. But no, it was good to see them kind of figure out some things offensively. The 26 assists on 27 made field goals. That's just like elite offense, So it was just it was good to see Kyle Rode hitting some clutch threes when he really needed to.
Yeah, John? Will, I agree with you. And the 26 assists on 27 made field goals, that's just insane basketball. And I'm not sure how many times Liberty's ever done something like that. I'm not sure how many times any college basketball team, Division I, has done something like that. It's pretty impressive. But FIU's a fun team to watch. The style of play, they kind of got that havoc style. Similar to what VCU did under Shaka Smart back in the day when they made their run to the Final Four. So FIU is a fun team to watch, and it's definitely a different contrast of style between the two teams. But Liberty was able to manage that. You saw extended minutes for your primary ball handlers like Caden and Colin and Kyle and guys like Shiloh only had 2 minutes. Shiloh Robinson. So. But it was definitely a much needed win, and it was great to have the Flames come out on top after starting off 0-3 in conference play.
Yeah, FIU kind of reminds you of almost like a young Kennesaw team. Like you can kind of see them like on the rise, like maybe Kennesaw a couple years ago. That's what they reminded me of in this one. And then we're gonna bring on Ben Southerland here in just a second. But the last game, this was the really good performance from Liberty. That performance that I think we've all kind of been waiting for, and CUSA play 82-66 winners over Sam Houston State, who came into Liberty Arena undefeated, left with a loss. Liberty just a very balanced 41 points in both halves, 1.25 points per possession. That's their highest since UMES back in November. So just a really good overall performance. Will, what about this one?
Yeah, I was a little late turning into this one. So I didn't get to see kind of part of the first half, but what you said there, I thought was kind of what stuck out to me was just the balance that they had. Seemed like Sam Houston was on its heels, the whole game. So, yeah, I thought it was just a good performance. Again, Kyle Rode coming in and 5 of 6 from 3 points. That's kind of what we've been wanting to see from him. So, just a good game.
Yeah, Kyle and Caden, combined 9 of 11 from 3. I think anytime those two shoot the ball like that, we're going to be a tough out. I don't care who we're playing. And it was definitely nice to see. And part of me felt like, during this game, maybe that win over FIU kind of, getting the win out of the system, first win in league play. A lot of people talking about the 0-3 start. The team was able to relax a little bit maybe and got out of their head a little bit and just went out and played basketball like we saw back in November. So it was good to see. And I think this is the Liberty basketball team we've got accustomed to seeing, like during that trip to Myrtle Beach in November around Thanksgiving time. So it's a good confidence boost, these 2 wins. And now it's, 3 straight on the road, which will be tough games. Obviously starting up on Saturday at Jack State.
How about Colin Porter flirting around with a triple-double there?
How about Colin Porter getting 9 rebounds? I mean, when have you ever had a 5'10" guard with high heels on getting 9 rebounds in a game? That's impressive.
Darius McGee stuff. That's Darius McGee type stuff. All right, well, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Experience Leesburg, and I'll be right back with Ben Southerland.
It's real Florida. It's old Florida, and it's close to all of the Central Florida attractions. Crystal clear natural springs in one of the largest chain of lakes. The beautiful lakefront city of Leesburg offers the best in outdoor adventures, fishing, and quaint shops and restaurants on historic downtown Main Street. Come visit and see how welcoming a hometown city feels. Experience Leesburg, the way Florida is meant to be.
All right, we are joined now by Liberty Redshirt-Freshman Ben Southerland. Ben, you've kind of gotten a more of an expanded role here of late, kind of settled into a rotation here for Richie McKay and the Flames. How's the season going for you so far?
It's been good. I'm happy to be able to help out the team however they need me and give time whenever they need it. So I feel like I've done well, and I'm only going to get better. So I'm happy with how I'm doing and how the team's doing right now.
Hey, Ben, thanks for your time tonight. Kind of going back to what we were just talking about earlier and kind of recapping some of the games, this last game against Sam Houston State, did you feel that the team is a little bit more loose after kind of breaking the ice with the FIU win? And does it help you guys play with a little bit more freedom after or getting one in the win column there?
Yeah, I mean, the FIU win it felt really good. We were excited with that one. And I think we just took the momentum with that one into the Sam Houston game, and we'll continue that. But we all knew what we can do. We didn't doubt ourselves at all. So it's just doing the same thing and trusting ourselves.
Ben, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of fun to catch up with you. But you guys got about a week off right now, or exactly a week off when you go You didn't play since Saturday night against Sam Houston, and you don't play again till this Saturday evening against Jack State. You normally play every 3 or 4 nights. What's it like, having a week off between games? Does it change the practice schedule any, or you guys getting more work in the weight room, or what's it like having a little bit of an extended break?
Yeah, it's been a little different. On Monday, we definitely had a harder lift just because we have time to cool off before our game. But the coaches, same intensity for every practice. We did have a day off yesterday, so they're still mindful of our bodies, but we've been pushed a little bit since we have some time to recover.
Ben, I know this is your first season, but maybe take us a little bit behind the curtain. What's kind of been the adjustment for the team to Conference USA? Obviously, from most people's perspective, it feels like it's a much more physical league. You have a lot more guys that are just like athletes, as opposed to having maybe 1 or 2 guys that are have a lot of size and length. You have teams full of length on the other side. What's kind of that adjustment been like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely different from the ASON. I know I didn't play in the ASON last year, but just there watching it and knowing all the guys scouts, it's like their 4 is like the 3-man in Conference USA.
Yeah.
So it's just as like it all shifts down one spot with the size. But Coach Hornet, our strength coach, he's really good, and he's gotten us ready for the physicality standpoint. But the length is definitely an adjustment. But I think we're definitely starting to figure it out, and we'll be good.
Ben, just from a athlete's perspective, like yourself, talk about that redshirt year that you had last year. Is it, the redshirt? Is it kind of frustrating, but also is it building anticipation for when you do get into the games that next year when you're seeing time on the court, or how does all of that kind of settle with you?
Yeah, I mean, redshirting is definitely not easy because you have to practice every single day, work as hard as the other guys, maybe even harder, and you don't get to play in games. So, I mean, it's definitely a learning experience. I definitely grew a lot as a person and a player with the opportunity, but it takes a lot of mental toughness, and the guys who are redshirting this year are doing a good job with it already, just helping us out, and that's something we have to do. You have to be willing to serve and help out the team with scout and stuff like that.
So Ben, are you in your dorm room? Do you live on campus?
I live off campus. I'm with Zach and Colin.
Okay, so you guys room together. What's it like rooming with those 2 stud sophomores?
It's a lot of fun. Me and Zach are always laughing about something. We're pretty close, and Colin, he's with us too a bunch, and it's just a lot of fun.
So who's the neat one, and who's the one that's always leaving a mess behind, and who's the one that's saying, hey, make sure you take out the trash today or whatever?
I'd say Colin. I gotta give him credit. He's definitely the neat one. I think that comes with being a point guard. He has everything in line, but it's not too bad. It's pretty clean. So.
All right, Ben, I got one last question for you. Then I'll let the other guys each ask one more. And this is the most important one. I see you went to Sycamore High School. My parents live in Sharonville, Ohio, so right down the road. Are you a Cincinnati Reds fan, Ben?
I am a Reds fan. Actually, David Bell, he is my second cousin.
No way.
I got some ties there, yeah.
Okay, well, sorry,
you're gonna get
Kyle
another
Road.
podcast request.
Sorry, Kyle Road. We got a new fan favorite here.
Yep.
You're about to get another podcast request, I think, from Kirby.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. Hey, obviously as longtime fans of Liberty basketball, and all 3 of us, being alumni, a lot of the times, like we get caught up on wins and losses, but we also know that Liberty is bigger than the results of basketball games. Like there's more behind it that makes, enjoyment for us to pull for Liberty and enjoyment to pull for you guys. And so tell us a little bit about, Kirby already broke the ice from, calling you out from Cincy, but, on the Liberty Flames notes, it talks about how your dad played at Worcester, and you got a cousin that played at Oregon and Kentucky and things like that. And tell us a little bit about like just kind of you coming up playing basketball. Like, did you play rec league when you were little, coming up through AAU and stuff like that, or how does that how did playing basketball become a passion for you?
Yeah, so obviously my dad played in college, and then he was a coach from when he was like 24 or earlier till like he stopped coaching a couple years ago. So when I was born, I was in the gym. So I was always in the gym shooting around, always had a basketball in my hand. And then I have 2 older brothers, a younger brother and a younger sister, and we're all a basketball family. I would always play up with my older brothers. I got pushed around a little bit, but definitely made me tougher. So, and then my cousin, like you said, she plays at Kentucky right now. Just a sports family, and especially a basketball family.
So, Ben, last question for you before we let you get out of here. And once again, appreciate you coming on with us. But looking ahead to the conference tournament, Conference USA, it's a neutral floor, which is different than what Liberty's experienced the last several years in the ASUN, where if you got the 1 seed, you got to play at home throughout, or whatever the case may be. And Liberty got a lot of home games during that. How different do you think it'll be? And I know this is looking ahead 6 weeks, and you got a game in 2 days you've been focusing on, but how different do you think it'll be, just the atmosphere, the environment? Is it something you look forward to getting to play, and see all the teams at one site?
Yeah, it'll definitely be a change, but I think it'll be fun. We played in a couple neutral site tournaments already. I think the one thing is we probably won't have as many fans, but we're still playing basketball. We still have to go against the other team, wherever it is. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun experience, and hopefully we can go win it all.
Ben just called out the fan base to make sure that they show up.
I hope you guys do.
Well, they got some time. Next home game's not till February 8th, so we got some time. Let's gather the troops and let's pack out for Middle Tennessee. Well, Ben, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm excited to see you kind of growing into a role this year, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to have a quick word from our presenting sponsor, Jason Porter, and we'll be right back with Associate Head Coach Derek Johnston.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Jason Porter. I'm with Legacy Realty and Development, and it's been a great partnership here with Sea of Red lately. I was with Liberty Athletics as the Associate Athletic Director for Sports Medicine, so took care of all of the healthcare needs and coordinated that with a fantastic staff at Liberty in the athletic department, of course, for about 5 or 6 years, and then moved into real estate full-time and with Legacy Realty and Development. And it's just been a great pleasure to continue to stay connected with my Liberty University family and the athletics family as well. Been enjoying serving them. A lot of the graduate assistants and some of the staff that I hired has come back now and has been using me for residential services, which I really appreciate. But certainly do residential real estate as far as buying and selling of homes, of course. And then also we have a strong commercial presence as well. So commercial real estate, obviously a very, very different animal than is residential. But whether it's buying and selling commercial properties or just the leasing of properties, we can help with that as well. So it's been a great opportunity to service our commercial clients as well. And then certainly on the investment front too, a number of folks who have discovered the power of passive income through real estate and investing in real estate with rental properties or fix and flips, those kind of things. And so great joy to serve my clients in that capacity as well. The other thing that I would add too is just a very, very full Rolodex at this point of contractors and subs and just different professional contacts that I've made through the years. So if I can ever provide any of those folks to you when all of a sudden you need a plumber or an electrician or a contractor to build your deck, whatever, I'd certainly be glad to give you access to that Rolodex and those references as well. Because a lot of times it's not exactly who you know, it's who you know that knows how to do the job well. And so I would be glad to provide those services for you as well. So love Flames Nation, love taking care of my Liberty family. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, my contact information is all right here on the screen. And I would love to be a service to you and yours. Thanks so much.
All right, we are joined now by Liberty Associate Head Coach Derek Johnston. Derek, thanks so much for coming back on. We had you on last year and didn't scare you away. Brought you back for year 2. How we doing?
Hey, you had to wait a year before you did, though. Like, it was that scary. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
This season has kind of felt like 5 different seasons almost. I don't know if it feels like that to you, but you guys had that incredible tournament in Myrtle Beach, and then had just a really grueling non-conference schedule. Start off slow in Conference USA, but it bounced back with two big wins. Has this kind of been just a season where it just really you got to really stay the course?
Yeah, they say basketball is a game of runs, right? Like, I guess it's a season of runs too. Yeah, man, I tell you, I was going back and looking at it. This is the hardest non-conference schedule we've ever had. And combine that with in a new league, it's going to be the hardest conference schedule we've ever had. So, it's really challenging. I feel like the non-conference really prepared our guys for what Conference USA is going to look like with the athleticism, all those things. So it's really, going to be a conference season probably unlike any we've seen. You're looking at a champion, maybe loses 5 or 6 games. And when's the last time we saw that? So I just think the team that's able to outlast it, those will be the one there at the end.
Is it weird that like no one's playing for home court advantage either? Does that like kind of also make a weird wrinkle into this whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it affects much today. I do think there's a little part of you is like, is there that much of advantage? Of course, you got seeding and stuff like that. You get to wear the home jersey, but there might not be as much pressure to secure a certain seed just because you're not going to get that home game out of it.
Do you have weird question? Do you have a favorite jersey of all the different jerseys that the boys wear?
We got some good ones over the year, man. The white with the script is, great. The red, yeah. I don't know. I like all of them. It depends on the night. They all look good when you win. So whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
DJ,
whichever one you cut down that's in is the best one.
Yeah, I'm surprised Nick doesn't have the records of what jersey we're in. You haven't gotten that one yet?
He probably does.
He probably does.
Yeah. DJ, you got your glasses on and you're in looks like a library. You got all studious on us tonight.
No, I'm an old man now. I have the eyes of an 80-year-old, I believe. When I can get out of the contacts, I can't. I've got to do everything I can to try to help myself look a little smarter. Hopefully,
well, you're looking the part tonight, so
I appreciate that.
Hey, so Derek, tell us, what was it like, as you guys were going through that 3-game, losing streak to start off conference play? Obviously, 2 of those games, at Western Kentucky, at Louisiana Tech, there's a lot of teams in Conference USA are going to lose those games. I mean, those are good teams on their home floor in tough venues. But, as you're going through that, what's the mood in the locker room? What are you and Coach McKay and the other coaches, saying to the team? Is it really, what we're hearing externally about, just stay the course, stay locked in, keep doing the same thing we do every day, and it'll eventually, right itself?
Yeah, there were probably a lot of things going through all our heads. I think beforehand you could look at it and it's like, that's one of the hardest stretches of our season. Two of the hardest road games in league play, if you're just looking at it before the year starts, against really good teams. Jack State, we know how good they are and what a good job Coach Harper does there. So you knew it was going to be hard. Of course, you don't like losing. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You don't like losing. So there's part of you after it's like, man, what can we do better? What can we improve on to win those games? And on the back end of it, a perspective is healthy. You think you're 2 possessions away from 2 of the biggest road wins in league play. And basketball is a really random game, a really random game. And there's a lot of what ifs, and like you don't shoot the ball well one night, and like we talked about, we're going to want to win the game when we don't shoot it well. So like, how do we solve those things? So, I think one, I really appreciate how Coach has approached our team with it. That there's a reality in things that we need to improve upon. There's a reality that there's randomness in basketball, and there's good for it good force in it. Like God's doing something for our good. And I've been proud of our guys that they've kind of outlasted that stretch. There's more coming, believe you me. But it really, I don't think shook their confidence too much. And I know at the very least, like we didn't splinter. We didn't have a bunch of guys pointing fingers, which is very easy to do when you experience some things you haven't in a while.
Coach, one thing I was looking at, we were talking about earlier, is all three of the first teams that you played all rank in the top 100 in defensive efficiency. And I share with the guys that in the ASON, there was not a single team that ranked in the top 100 last year. So me just looking at the numbers, those are cool, and they tell that part of the story. But as the coach, what makes those three teams so tough to score on, as Liberty's kind of built a culture of being an elite offensive program over the last few years?
Yeah, they're a combination of things. Obviously, they're well coached. Like they have a plan, right? And that's just half the battle, though. Like they have good players that are athletic, they're long, they play hard, and they're hard to play against at times. Now, I hope like some of it we can control some of it better next time against some of those teams. And I think Nick, you're a shot quality guy. You may have subscription. In a couple of those games, maybe the quality of our shot didn't match exactly how we shot it. But there's a reason why those teams are good. They're well coached and they have a plan. And, I think our ability to stay continuous against some of those teams, and, if you can dribble past and shoot, it helps.
Well, you guys are well coached too, but on a kind of a weird week where there's no midweek games, does not that you're looking past the next game, but does it give you a chance to get ahead when you don't have any midweek games to kind of look at what's down the road any at all, or does Coach McKay prefer you to just focus on the next game and not go too far ahead?
I don't know if it changes that approach in our scouting as much. It gives you a little more margin to maybe look at some things big picture. You're able to spend a little more time recruiting. It's a little more time with your guys, a little more time with your family, hopefully. As far as like looking ahead and the scouting rhythm we have, I don't know if it changes a ton. It provides you more margin where you don't have to feel crunched to get everything done, prepping for the next team. And you're able to, I wouldn't say self-scout, but worry about your own team a little more. But it does, I think, provide more margin to look a little more big picture at times, which is helpful when you're in the thick of it.
Coach, you mentioned recruiting there. I wanted to ask you, and when you're, in the living room of a high school prospect, or I don't even know if you guys still go to living rooms. That's what they always say. But when you're out there making a sales pitch or talking to a recruit, what are you saying? How do you describe, Liberty basketball? Because we hear you guys talk so much about, how it's a family, how it's a unique atmosphere. And for me being so close to it, I can sense that. But how do you try to describe that to, not just the athlete or the prospective athlete, but their family as well?
Yeah. The best thing we got is the people. That's the best thing we got. Like, and you guys know our deal well. We've got some cool stuff. You can walk in the Liberty Arena and it's got the bells and whistles, and we have some elite, Coach Horner, Rob Horner, our strength coach, elite. He's going to make them strong. Those things aren't going to make you happy. Like, those things aren't going to make you a better player. They're not going to make you a good student. They're not going to help you grow spiritually. They just take away excuses, right? Like, the people are going to be the ones that make your experience. And for us, that's hopefully our separator. And we're going to tell them we're going to compete at a really high level. We're going to work really hard to win a lot of games. And that's not the reason why we're here. So I think guys that want a high level of basketball, that, want a good education, that want to be in a place that challenges their spiritual pursuit. I don't know of many that match kind of what we've got going on. It's not for everyone, but it's really cool if you want that.
All right, so Coach, Zach Cleveland has taken a pretty big leap. It looks like from watching the games this year. I got a stat for you. He's one
love it. I knew it was coming. Let's go.
one of 4 players in all of college basketball with 230 points, 120 rebounds, 75 assists, and 15 blocks. Talk about his development and what's kind of made him kind of reach this next level this season.
I thought you were going to ask me who are the other 3.
Do you want to know?
$2 for it. I don't know. Man, I tell you, it's something that you saw progress as the year went along last year, and he had that bout of mono in the middle of it that kind of set him back a little. But, Zach, the thing that gets him in the door is in his competitiveness. He is an extreme competitor and won't back down from anyone. And you saw as the year went along last year, his ability to make plays with the ball, and he'll play with some fearlessness and audacity. Combine that with all of you stuff you've seen this year, his ability to pass, his physicality with the ball, his unselfishness, his ability to put pressure on the rim. It makes for a great blend of player that really clicks well with the unselfish guys we have around him. And, he'll be the first to tell you that all the guys around him have really helped him as well. Like, we have a group that, honestly, they don't really care who scores. They're worried about, okay, how can we best score against them? And it's going to depend on the night. Like, is it going to depend on what they're doing defensively, who they've got out there defensively, who do we have out there? But his versatility within all that's been really key for our season.
Do you guys expect defenses in the Conference USA to kind of adjust to Zach Cleveland's game and, a little bit more than they have going forward? And is there like another guy that you see that maybe could have a, kind of a strong impact that maybe a little bit under the radar that we just haven't seen yet?
Yeah, to answer your first one, I mean, they're good coaches in the league. They're going to try to stop you from doing what you do or what's hurting them. So, yeah, like Zach's had some good games. He's distributed well. He scored it well. So there's going to be teams that game plan for all of our guys and then dial certain things up based on what's hurting them that night. I think that's one of the great things about our team is that we've got so many guys that can make a play, and you've seen it throughout the season. It's, look at Colin Porter's stat line the last time out, Cade Matheny, Kyle Rode. I keep going, like JV, like his ability to get extra possessions. He like Joseph's probably the best cutter in the country. Like if you're able to watch enough of it. There's so many guys. Brody Peebles. I mean, the impact he's had on that end of the floor, and he's really had a great year. The guy you just had on, Ben Southerland, he's had a great year. He had a great summer. Was out there in the fall for a stretch that kind of tampered his development. But we've got a lot of guys that can make a play, and I think if we're playing in freedom and like we have that confidence about us, I think there's a lot of different options that we have. So there's a bunch of guys. Will, I'm answering your question by not answering your question, honestly. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's one of the beauties of maybe how we play sometimes is, like, I don't know exactly what the possession is going to look like. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like right now because we've got guys that are going to, like, do what our thing is, be great at what you're good at, right? Really highlight your strengths. And then the defense is going to tell you what to do. So it's going to depend on the night, but I do think we have a lot of guys that can hurt the defense.
So we've got 3 straight road games coming up, and I'm curious, what does Coach Johnston do in the night before the game at the hotel or in the morning as you're waiting around for tip to come, and just trying to waste time? What are you doing? Are you getting an extra nap in, doing some film study? What's going on?
Well, there's not a whole lot of time wasting going on. I can tell you that. I probably should. So we had our first child in May. We've got an 8-month-old. I should be getting a nap in, but those don't happen. Usually it's prepping for the night before. It's kind of prepping for one of the next things, whether that's the next scout. So because we've got such quick turnarounds, like you've kind of pretty much have to have the next prep done by the time this game starts. So doing some of those things. Obviously, recruiting's a 365 thing that you're always working on. Hopefully, there's a little bit of margin there the night before, and then, for me, the day of the game, we're kind of redirecting back to that prep and that scout with our team. Me internally. So I've tried to get a workout in. I don't know if that's the margin you're looking for. I don't have a particular routine or anything like that. It's honestly, you've got a little bit of margin, especially being on the road, in the hotel, a little more time to make sure you got your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and you can get ahead on some things.
Who's on your pregame playlist?
I'm probably the worst guy to ask that question, John. I know you're expecting, a fire playlist coming out here. I'm more of a podcast guy, honestly. Okay. So
you're listening to the See Red podcast before the game
starts. See Red podcast on loop.
There you go.
Every word you say, just know I'm hearing it. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe if you guys throw in some music on the podcast, I'll get my music fixed.
Okay.
We'll have to have Richie Longshot to make a playlist for Coach.
Hey, there you go.
I want to ask you about the three players that are redshirting this year. Jalen Davis, Curtis Blair III, and then Caillou. I'm going to ask you just about kind of their development. And secondly, those players are all very big for their positions that they play. Yeah. Do you think that's something that'll be a big advantage for you guys next year in Conference USA play?
Yeah, that's the hope. We're excited about those guys. Like, they've had a really good intent about this season. We probably discussed on here before, like, the redshirt year is hard. It is, because it's the longest you've ever gone without playing a game, like an actual game. And we're approaching, I always call it kind of the dog days of the redshirt year, where it's like, man, this has been long. You can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. And I've been excited. All three of those guys have, throughout this month of January, it continued to trend upward. So we're hopeful about all of them, man. I think they all provide something unique to our team. I do really like their length. I like their skill level for their length. They've done a great job. Again, Rob, our strength coach, has done a great job with them in the weight room. That's where they get a ton, more than our regular guys. They're in their weight room so much, and that's, as you've seen, such a big deal in Conference USA, just being able to withstand the physical load on a nightly basis. So Kai, Jalen, and Curdy, they all, I think, have a bright future for us, and especially if they continue the intent they've got right now.
Just last one for me, Coach. We appreciate your time, especially with a baby in the house. Know how that is, but just an honest question, because I don't know. I'm not a basketball player. I do have 4 years of eligibility left. If you, I've
probably your highlights.
I can't shoot the three, but I feel like my defense is pretty decent. But, with a week off, and I mean, you said it earlier yourself, sometimes the way you guys were shooting the ball did not match up to the shot quality. Does a week off, does that produce the opportunity for rested legs to get crisper shots off, or would we expect a little bit of rust, or is it just kind of just too hard to tell?
I don't know. I mean, you can build whatever narrative you want based on how we start playing Saturday night. If I'm being real, like, I don't know. I've been some, you had a long layoff and you've been cooking afterwards. I've had some where it looks like you haven't played basketball in 6 months. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think it'll have much effect on our process. Now, how long have you been resting? Like, maybe that helped your jumper. You got 4 years left. Like, how
about 40 years. Yeah. So
if that's the case, you should be drilling it. Like, we need to sign you up. So I don't know. I think we've had a great week of practice. I do think our preparation's been good. So, I don't think they'll have much deal in our process. But feel free to write the story as you see fit, based on how we start playing on Saturday.
Now, Coach, you coached in Huntsville for a number of years, didn't you? So you'll be getting to go back home, if you want to call it that. Now, was that the same arena that you guys played in, or is it a different facility?
No, the VBC, the Von Braun Center downtown. They actually redid it recently. We didn't play there. We played on campus, but I have played in that building before. It's probably 6,000 or something like that. So it'll be if we have to go neutral site, it's a great city for a neutral site. Huntsville is the biggest city in the state of Alabama now, and has a ton of stuff to do. Ben, you said Ben was trying to bring people to the games. Like, Huntsville's a good spot. Like, come to the conference tournament. Like, there's plenty of stuff to do. And the group, the 90 group that's doing the tournament's the same group that did our Alabama game. Like, they are pros at doing it. So I think that they'll do a great job. I think the environment will be good. Obviously different than on-campus sites, but yeah, we're excited. If it has to be a neutral site, I think Huntsville's not a bad spot.
All right, well, Coach, we really appreciate your time. You're asking about shot quality. I canceled my subscription and broke my computer after I saw that Kennesaw score last March. Never looked at it again. So,
well, at least you canceled before you broke your computer, and you're not getting charged.
Well, Coach, we do appreciate your time. Best of luck with this tough upcoming stretch for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys, man, and how you brand our program, how you support us. I'm just telling you, like, I have a lot of friends at, similar level to us, and the fan support is not at the same level, and the coverage that it gets not at the same level. So please know how much we appreciate what you do and how you support Liberty Athletics and our deal.
All right. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. We'll catch up again soon.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. We're going to have a quick word from Flames Rising, and then we'll be right back to wrap this up.
Hey, Flames Nation, this is Kyle Rode.
This is Rachel Root.
This is Kato Salter.
We would just want to say thank you for supporting athletes like us through the Flames Rising Collective.
The Flames Rising Collective is a registered 501c3, providing opportunities for student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness while serving our local community.
100% of everything contributed to the collective will go directly to creating name, image, and likeness opportunities for Liberty student athletes.
Help us be champions for Christ and champions on the field. Flames.
All right. So that was fun, man. He's always awesome. Always so honest with his answers. Definitely really enjoyed having him on. And yeah, this is a tough stretch coming up, fellas, for the Flames. It feels like it feels so different. We've been so conditioned, Will and John, in the ASUN and the Big South. Like, all right, well, we got like these 4 games are going to be really tough, and then the rest is, we're going to be heavily favored every night. I mean, I know Liberty is favored in every game the rest of the way, but there's a lot of 3-point, 4-point, 5-point, favorites in this one. But 3 straight on the road: Jacksonville State, New Mexico, and UTEP. I want to ask you this, John. I feel like there is a little budding rivalry that I know neither one of them would admit it, but with Coach McKay and Harper at Jacksonville State, do you kind of sense that?
I mean, there has to be, right? I mean, Jacksonville State ended that 40-plus game win streak Liberty had at home. First ever loss Liberty suffered at Liberty Arena a couple years back, and then they got us again, just a couple weeks back, and that's really the one loss that kind of, as I look back on it, that stings a little bit. That's one we just did not play well. Lost by 10 at home. That's one that come tournament time, and we're talking about seeding there in early March, we might look back to that and scratch our head like, why did that happen? But, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Jacksonville State's kind of, I guess you could say they've had our number a little bit, but don't go back and look at the scores from last year, because, I mean, we flat out embarrassed them both times we played. And this is obviously a better team in Jacksonville State than they had last year. And they've shown a lot of improvement. Now, they are struggling. I mean, what have they lost now? Like 3 in a row. They just lost last night. Middle Tennessee got their first conference win, knocking off the Gamecocks. And Liberty, so they're going to be hungry. Liberty's going to be coming in there wanting to get a win and right the ship and even the score, I guess I should say, from that loss a couple weeks back. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of a rivalry going on. It'll be interesting. I mean, maybe I don't think we've seen these two teams play in conference play or tournament play yet. So a lot of times that's where the rivalries really get cemented. So that could happen here in a few weeks in Huntsville.
Yeah, they got that cheap NCAA tournament berth. They didn't even win the tournament. Bellarmine won. Yeah. Ugh.
Man, that night was, I hate to go back to it, but when we lost to Bellarmine, because Jacksonville State was playing Jacksonville that night, and I think it was like an hour or so before tip. So, or maybe it was the same time, but you saw that score go final before the Liberty game was over. And you're thinking, man, if Liberty can win this game, we're going to be playing at home against Jacksonville. Well, anyways, let's not talk about it anymore. It all went downhill from there.
Well, I'm expecting that Liberty's going to be really fired up for this game on Saturday. This is one, like, if I'm looking at the schedule coming up, Liberty doesn't know really any of the other teams. I mean, obviously they're going to want to return the favor to Louisiana Tech at home, but there's no other team that I think really you're going to have the same fire for than you're going to have on Saturday.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot to prove. I'm sure you're going to give us a graphic with the standings as well at some point, but it all feels like it's still a roll of the dice. I mean, we're just 5 games in on the Liberty side, and you don't really have any kind of feel, besides Louisiana Tech, kind of just how the rest of the conference shakes out quite yet. So I've got mental images of Randy Dutton on the sidelines stomping his foot at Greg Marshall because Winthrop always had, Liberty's number. And so, yeah, I could see a little bit of a rivalry beginning to spark there, even though it's probably under the radar a little bit.
Nick, as we look ahead to these next 3 road games, and one thing that I've, I put out an article about it a little bit today, but I just want to provide a little bit more color to that is Conference USA. We've talked about it so much, but it's so much different, especially this season, than what we've gotten used to in the ASUN. In the ASUN, Liberty would run out to a 13-3, 14-2, whatever record in conference play. And there might be another team, a Lipscomb or UNF or whoever, Jacksonville State that one year, that are kind of right there with them, Bellarmine during the COVID year, with a similar record or closely behind. But we're not going to see that this year. The Conference USA champion, I think Ken Palm currently has got predicted Louisiana Tech, I think maybe 12-4, I think or 11-5. Liberty at 10-6 is what their predicted record is right now. But I guess what I'm trying to say is nobody's going to go 14-2 in conference. Nobody's going to go 13-3 in conference. I do think the conference champion is going to end up with at least 4, probably 5, maybe 6 losses, depending. Louisiana Tech's the one that's, I could see them going a 12-4 type thing. But so, saying that, Liberty's got those 3 losses. So yeah, we got to dig ourselves out of a hole, but we're, I think now 2 games out of first place after the win that Louisiana Tech picked up tonight. But we're right there. I mean, we are right there, and we got to take care of business. But as I get back to these 3 conference games, 3 road games coming up, like if we go 1-2, like again, I want to go 3-0, and I think we can go 3-0. But if we go 1-2, it doesn't mean, oh no, we're back. We're not a good team. We're struggling. That's not the truth, because we still at 1-2 in these next 3 would still be on pace to go a 10-6. It would be difficult because that would give us 5 losses. But if we can get to 2-1, a 2-1 trip in these 3 would be huge, because if you go 2-1, you're right there. You're back to 500 in conference play. You're probably within a game or so of first place. And I think you would be trending towards at least a 10-6, maybe 11-5 finish in the regular season. And that's probably good enough to get you at least 2nd seed, maybe the number 1 seed. And it'll come down to some tiebreakers and things like that. But that's one thing that I've kind of been reminding myself this week is as we get prepared for this 3-game trip, it's going to be a tough trip. I don't expect to go 3-0. We could. But Western Kentucky just played at New Mexico State and at UTEP, dropped both games. They're competitive games, single-digit scores, and now they're 2-3 in conference play. And we were just talking about them being one of the best teams, and I think they are. But, it's tough to win on the road. It's tough to win on the road in conference play, and it's tough to win on the road in Conference USA play. So let's just remember that as we go through this next 3-game stretch. Even if we go 1-2, it's okay. We're still going to be in the mix, and there's a lot of teams bunched up together in the middle of those standings, and I think that's going to be how it plays out for most of the season.
Yeah, and the seeding I think still matters, as far as who you're going to draw in the first round. But like we talked about with Coach, that it's a neutral site, right? So while it still matters, it's just different. So I think if you, John, if that in that scenario, you kind of set yourself up well, I think, for however you get seeded.
Yeah, and John, I think it was a good point that you brought up here. I know I put this graphic up, and oh my gosh, Liberty's favored in every single game, but they're favored 59%, 67%, 65%. If you run the numbers on all three of those happening, it's 25.6%. So like you're not supposed to go 3-0. You're supposed to go 2-1 in this situation. So yeah, 2-1 would be great. You keep it moving. I really don't think, with the NIT being pretty much eliminated for Liberty, because I don't think Liberty's going to have enough to have an at-large. Maybe, I don't know. It'd have to really play. If Liberty plays well enough to get an NIT at large, they're probably going to be the number 1 seed in the CUSA. So I don't really think it matters. I really don't think the seeding matters very much in Conference USA. I'm going to pull it up here. This does not include the one game from today, and this also doesn't include the tiebreakers. I just threw this in here. Liberty right now would be the 7. That would be phenomenal for Liberty. Liberty would play Sam Houston in the first game, and then they would get a day off, and then they would go to the semifinals if they win, and play the winner of New Mexico, Western Kentucky, and Louisiana Tech's the other side of the bracket. Like, is the 2 seed really better? The 3 seed really better than that? I don't, So really, you just hope wherever you land, you're on the other side of Louisiana Tech. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it kind of does smack in the face to see that 7 seed next to your name. We're so used to the 1 or the 2 that we've had for so many years. But no, I agree with you. I think it once we get later into it, in late February into March, we can talk about, seeding and that sort of thing. But I mean, I probably would take the seed numbers off. I'd probably take this pairing today. I mean, we saw what we could do against Sam Houston, and again, I mean, they could get us. That they're a good team too, but I would take that. I think FIU is an interesting team too, and Middle Tennessee as well. We could talk about them too, but I think FIU is an interesting team just because of the contrast of styles. Like, things went well for us last week, but when we played them at home, but they're one that if they get you out of your comfort zone a little bit, so you never know how that game's going to go. But man, I actually was just planning out. We got a few extra days off this week, from basketball games. I was planning out my trip to Huntsville, and I hope others can make the trip too. It happens to be during spring break for my kids, so we're going to go down for a few days, and I'm planning to be down through Saturday night into Sunday morning, and we'll see how that goes. But it should be a really good, fun, entertaining tournament because anybody could win. I do think Louisiana Tech, maybe Liberty, kind of stand out a little bit, but other than that, not by much. And there's 6-7 teams I think could win the tournament.
The Probst Arena. I mean, I know Von Braun is like the big one in Huntsville. Is this at a campus, like a college campus there in Huntsville, or?
No, it's like a convention center. It is the Von Braun Center or Von Braun Center. I don't know. They're the same place, Von Braun Center and Probst Arena. But it like Coach Johnson was mentioning, it recently got remodeled or something. I don't know all the details about it, but it seats about 5,000 or 6,000. I think it's a good venue. They're going to be men's and women's tournament going on at the same time, so that's actually why the quarterfinals are split up like that, because you'll have the women's tournament coinciding with this. So on March 13th, those games are at night. The 13th and 14th, the women will be playing their quarterfinals, 2 on the 13th and 2 on the 14th. and then also the semifinals on the 15th as well. So it's kind of an interesting schedule because you can go from playing, like if you're like the 3 seed, you could play at 8 o'clock on the 14th and then turn around and have to play at 2 o'clock the next day in the semifinals. So it could be a quick turnaround for some teams, but yeah, it's an interesting setup. But again, I think it's going to be a lot of fun basketball being played, entertaining, and anybody could win just about any night.
I don't know why I know this, but the Von Braun was a member of the Nazi Party.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I don't think there's a good response.
It's just wild we have an arena like named after somebody in the Nazi Party.
Again, I'm not sure I should respond to that in any way.
I mean, I can't contribute to the X's and O's, so I have to contribute somehow.
You contributed. Yeah, just wait till we get to the last the last game of the season, and I'm up here advocating that we tank to Western Kentucky if we're the 5 seeds, so we could fall down to the 6 and be on the other side of Louisiana Tech and have people in my mentions and like, hey, it's smart, tank it.
Spoken like a true Cincinnati Red fan.
Let's get some higher draft picks.
But looking at, wrap this up with CUSA. I just, John and Will, these next couple games, man, they're tough. All 3 on the road. I feel like so many of these, at least from what I've watched, so many of these Conference USA teams are so much better at home, which I do I do think that kind of gives Liberty an edge in the in a neutral site. I feel like Liberty's kind of, well, they already won a neutral site tournament, so that's kind of a good thing to have. But I kind of feel like Liberty's almost more built for like a neutral site than maybe some of these other teams that kind of, they're relying on the defense and the energy and that kind of stuff. Where Liberty's just kind of a team that they come up, they show up, they shoot, and all those kind of things. But these next 2 games, next 3 games, I mean, UTEP and New Mexico State, they are much different teams at home. But yeah, I guess maybe to my larger point, I definitely do feel like Louisiana Tech has established themselves as number 1. We got to accept that. Again, I still think Liberty was heads and shoulders above Kennesaw State last year, and that didn't really mean a whole lot in a 1-game scenario. But I guess, John, anything else? I know Middle Tennessee finally got their first win last night. Any of these other teams kind of stand out to you right now?
Yeah, these the UTEP New Mexico State teams, they're teams I haven't watched much of so far this year. I mean, I've been trying to pay attention a little bit tonight as they were playing and this week, but so I'm interested to see how those games go next week for Liberty. They're teams that just from what I think, from looking at their resumes and things, I think they have the potential to win, especially at home against anybody in the league. But then it seems like when they're going on the road, they're not playing as well as on their home floor. So I'm interested to see how Liberty matches up against them, especially on the road. Those are two venues that Coach McKay's been to before from his time as head coach at New Mexico. So he's talked about, going to Las Cruces and going to El Paso. So it'll be interesting to see how those games go. But Jacksonville State's another one. They've kind of been hot and cold all season, and they've continued that into conference play. And I'm not sure just how good they are. Again, I think a lot of these teams are kind of the same, from, I think Louisiana Tech probably is, I think you would have to put them at number 1. Then I think Liberty and Western Kentucky are kind of like 2A and 2B. Then I think from Jacksonville State on down, certainly through New Mexico State, they're all pretty much, the same and similar teams. I think FAU is a step behind those others. Middle Tennessee is another one that, if they can, start to reel together a couple wins, which they've got another winnable game Saturday. I have to look at the schedule, forget who they're playing, but they got another winnable game then, and they could start to make things interesting after starting 0-4.
FIU at home on Saturday.
You would think they would win that one. So.
Will, any other maybe, final thoughts as we kind of, wrap this up? It's been nice to see, the team, get back on track. I thought that last game against Sam Houston was just like really like, okay, this is Liberty basketball. They're and the FIU is one of the weaker defensive teams. That was kind of one of those like, okay, they were supposed to play well against them, but Sam Houston, they weren't necessarily supposed to play well, and they did. I think it's just an adjustment for this offense, and I think you're going to probably see a lot of ups and downs. I think you're going to see some games the rest of the way where you're like, oh, that's that Liberty offense I love. Then you're going to probably see some other, games like that, like those Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State games where they're pretty ugly. Hopefully Liberty can turn some of those ugly games and grind out some ugly wins. That would be nice to see. Like that would really, help build some confidence and some experience going into the tournament, because you're probably going to have to win at least one ugly game in the tournament. But that's kind of where I'm at. Will, any other final thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be nice if that was the that little stretch was the only bumpy road of the season, but it probably won't be. And so, I think for the most part, we're all kind of resigned to that now that we kind of know that. I still think it'll be interesting against Jacksonville State to see how they come out without the midweek game. Are they going to come out rusty? They had for 3 games, it's like they had shot cold and lost their shot. 2 games, they kind of started getting that back, and then you have this long layoff. So I think it'll be interesting to see if it'll be a case of rested legs and the shots are falling like we know that they can and we expect that they do, or will there be rust that they're going to have to have a good second half maybe in a game against Jacksonville State.
Yeah. My final thought, Nick, before we wrap it up, it's a lot of fun. I just want to say Conference USA has been a lot of fun getting to know some of these teams, these coaches, and these players, and getting to used to a new conference as far as the competition level. And it was fun, even though we lost, to watch a Louisiana Tech game on ESPN2. Once we get off of here, I'm going to go turn on the second half of this game on CBS Sportsnet between Sam Houston and who they got, New Mexico State, and watch some of that. So it's a lot of fun. I was watching Western Kentucky. They had Tyler Hansborough as the color commentator tonight. So that he's a little rusty. He's not as good on the mic as he was on the floor, but I'm sure he's working some of that out, working the kinks out. But it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot different. Like I said earlier, you're not going to see a team run out and run away with this thing at 14-2 or something like that in conference play. That's a lot of competition. It's really hard to grind out some of these wins on the road, and you got to do the same thing at home. I mean, we still got teams like Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, and others coming into Liberty Arena that won't be easy wins. So it's good to see the team get the wins under their belt last week, and now hope as you go on the road for 3 straight, you hope to string together a couple more wins, and they won't be easy, but it's going to be fun following along.
Yeah, Jack State, after they played Liberty, after they beat Liberty at Liberty Arena, they lost to Western Kentucky by 11, lost to Louisiana Tech at home by 17, and lost by 8 to Middle Tennessee. So they have not been playing the same since then. Like I said, I do think the team's going to come out really motivated on Saturday, and I'm excited. I like these games that have a little bit of extra juice, and I think we'll have it. Hopefully they just, beat the snot out of them and it's never competitive. That would be great. All right. Well, thanks so much to everyone for joining us tonight. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to See a Red on YouTube. Help these guys with all the great work that they do.
We're getting close to 1,000 followers on YouTube, so that's the magic number. So hopefully we can hit that by football season. Help us out and subscribe.
Yeah, well, let's do that. All right. Well, for John, for Will, thanks to our sponsors, Jason Porter Real Estate, Ironclad Coffee, and Visit Leesburg. I'm Nick. Have a great night and go Flames.
Thank you.